So I have seen an abundance of comments as of recently, which has been growing more and more over the past couple of weeks/months, regarding Attack on Titan and the complexity surrounding it. I've seen a good portion of people express their opinions towards Attack on Titan's recent events, and how a lot of the things at the moment is overcomplicating the core of the story. And this is obviously meant in a negative factor, meaning that everything right now is not really connecting all too well with the overall theme of Attack on Titan and everything that has been built up over the past however many years. It's just not sitting well with a portion of people. I find this perspective kind of interesting for a lot of different reasons, but more so the concept that this quote-unquote time travel, which is only a potential idea at the moment, really doesn't sit well with people. Yet, if Isayama has been playing this off since the beginning, it's one of those underlying concepts and themes alongside a majority of concepts and themes that he's recently introduced that was lying in the background. And it's a really good thing within time travel if obviously Isayama is not just adding this for the sake of it, but has been writing it with the intention of playing on it. He's more than likely figured out how he wants the story to go. There doesn't realistically have to be many massive plot holes that can potentially be created, considering writing time travel specifically is a very difficult thing to do successfully. And when I say successfully, I mean more so without corrupting your own story. If an author for some reason wants to implement time travel later on as an afterthought for the overall narrative for his story, then you'll run into some massive issues. However, with Isayama's case, and what it seems like it's kind of building up towards, is that he's been planning to do this since day one, and is only obviously playing on it now. Regarding the recent events, I think I would have to completely disagree that it's overcomplicating or even ruining Attack on Titan's story. If anything, the change in storytelling and the whole theme is something very interesting, and what's great about it is that you really don't have to play on it all too much. It's something that can be put into the story, and the massive details that he's writing towards in terms of the origin of Titans and everything in between can now be played upon rather easily, especially if this all takes place within some sort of hypothetical time loop, and it's all kind of created from there. I think a very difficult thing that a lot of authors have to come to face at some point and decide whether they want to show it or not is showing the origin of kind of everything. The origin of Titans, specifically the origin of Ymir, and how these powers actually came to. If you take out the time travel and what a lot of people have kind of come to the conclusion with in terms of the future kind of creating the past to a certain extent within this time travel time loop, it's very difficult to kind of write a origin point for Titans to begin with. Where did they come from? How did they come to existence? And you kind of get this really weird dilemma where the author has to create something that works within the story that people would be satisfied with. It can't be as simple as just evolution, because I don't think people would really be happy about that. And if it was something like that, you'd have to explain it more and more and really give in detail that takes away from the original story. However, the stuff that he's using now is kind of like a concept that he can use to introduce the origin of Titans and Ymir specifically and these abilities in a really digestible manner. Obviously, it's rather confusing at the moment because we don't have the full picture painted. We've only got bits and pieces and an idea stuck in our head. Whether or not he even plays on the time travel idea is kind of the biggest thing. He could do a variation of it, something that is kind of unrelated to time travel, considering Ymir and the past and the coordinate and the place that she resides in is higher than time. It's not restricted by these rules. Anything is kind of possible within this place. In a sense, even though it's confusing in itself, it also makes explaining a lot of these things a lot more easier. And I think a lot of people will be satisfied if Isayama wants to go ahead and explain how everything was kind of started. It seems like he's kind of leaning towards that route, if that's what he wants to do. It's kind of like explaining the origin of vampires, or the origins of werewolves, like how did they come into existence, like who was the first one. It's very difficult to explain something like that in the realm of your story if you don't have a concept that allows it to be easier. In this sense, Attack on Titan's story has changed quite a bit. From chapter 1 and the first portion of the story to where it is now, there has been a lot of change. A lot of underlying concepts have surfaced, and the original story for Attack on Titan has definitely taken a back seat. And this is for a pretty good reason. The development of the story, the growth, the change, everything has kind of laid back into the story and circulated really well. The characters that we didn't really know nothing about and already had an opinion on get recirculated, like Grisha, and show a completely different perspective on how that situation actually went down. And the appreciation and the struggle and suffering that Grisha went through is something that you get to visibly witness. You've seen it a couple of different times with the traversal of story concepts, and now this recent stuff is helping alluding more to it and painting a bigger picture. The funny thing, it's not even just with Grisha, it's pretty much with every single character within the story that plays some sort of prominent role. Obviously Eren is the biggest one, and the introduction to Mali and the Malians and their backstory and how they connect with Eldia and Eldians is so compelling. It's something that is not within the story at all until a certain point, and it really changes the way you view Attack on Titan, which I think is the best thing about it. The story shifts to a concept that is very realistic, something that is very hard-hitting, something that completely blows out of proportion what Attack on Titan was originally and now focuses on something bigger. How these people have been at war with each other for so long, how Malians feel towards the Eldian race, how Eldians feel about themselves and towards Malians, how this long history has led them down this specific path. With all of this and the characters that are interlocked with one another, a new perspective forms from Mali, and you get to see people like Reiner, for example, people like Zeke, and how they were treated within Mali, but how they view Eldia and Eldians, for example. Something that brings in a whole new element for their characters. All of this circulates and joins back to where Eren is right now, trying his hardest to get a specific outcome, a specific result, a future that is kind of unknown at the moment, but there's so many possibilities there that can be chosen. The shift in storytelling is a really big thing. A lot of stories kind of struggle to do it as drastically as Attack on Titan done, but Isayama has weaved it almost perfectly and showcased a completely different realm and perspective of what Attack on Titan is truly about. To say that the recent events are overcomplicating things is a really big, I think, disconnect from what the story is trying to show you. That even if time travel and being stuck in a perpetual loop and your future being already set in stone, that you have no free will, goes directly with what Attack on Titan has been portraying since chapter 1. Freedom and the concept of becoming free, doing anything to get to that point. And our main character, and not only him, have gone through so much thought-provoking ideologies that have weighed them down to single them out and to put them on a path of what they want to do. Eren at the moment is kind of at the pinnacle of the power that he's able to get. The choices that he makes are going to have massive consequences, but so will Zeke. And this is all leading to a specific outcome. It's all tying in rather beautifully together. As much as people may not like the idea of time travel or the loop or whatever is going on with Ymir and her being higher than time and not restricted by it, it's all working really well with the story at the moment. I don't think it's overcomplicating it. I don't think it's making it extremely difficult to understand, nor do I think it even breaks any of the original concepts or even the concepts now that the story is trying to put across. If anything, it helps build a more concrete and beautiful foundation for what the story is leading up to. Reevaluating how you look at specific characters throughout the story. Thanks to this stuff at the moment, we got to see a different perspective from Grisha and how we completely underestimated how he felt truly about all of these things. He really tried to live a different life and wanted to live a happy life after all the stuff that he's been through, yet he was on a track that he could not pull off from. I think with all of that, it's perfectly okay to feel like the stuff at the moment is a little bit convoluted, and it always comes down to personal opinion, but to think that it's kind of de-evaluating the story or ruining it or completely deconstructing it in a very negative way is a little bit weird. I think there's a big disconnect to how you view it compared to what it's actually doing. But then again, like I said, it is opinion. If you're not liking the most recent stuff at the moment, that is perfectly okay. But I don't think by any means it's currently breaking anything that is creating these massive plot holes or ruining Isayama's story writing if he has been planning it since chapter 1. This is something that's kind of been in motion. In that sense, I am kind of interested to hear how people feel about this. So with that being said, that is basically it. Let me know how you guys feel about the current events of Attack on Titan. Do you think this potential time travel stuff, or Ymir specifically, and her being higher than time and not restricted by it, do you think it's breaking the story? Do you think it's ruining everything that Attack on Titan has been doing for so many years, or do you think it is helping bring different perspectives and evaluating the story and bringing it higher? Or are you kind of in the middle? I guess only time will tell because we haven't really seen the full outcome of what is going on at the moment. So it may be a little bit too early to have people express their full opinions for it, but more so I am very interested to hear on what you guys feel about it now. So let me know your thoughts. But I'm actually going to end the video off here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.